This is a mobility and stretching routine that I like to do either in the morning before a workout, if I have the time, or I would do it on my off day as an active recovery. So this is a follow along video. You can watch how I do the routine and follow along as I go. It's a really nice way to start your morning, loosen up the joints, loosen up your body, and warm up your entire body and prepare yourself for a more difficult workout. So I'm starting off with some light head rolls and wrist rolls to loosen up those areas, and then moving on to shoulder rolls. After that, I move on to half back rolls with some reach out. So I would do a half back roll, and then I would reach either to the sky or reach forward or to the side. Really just trying to be playful and try to loosen up my back muscles and start to activate the spine a little bit. I like this movement. Actually feels really nice after you wake up in the morning. It's almost like getting a back massage actually. After that, we move down the body and start to open up the hips and the legs a little bit. With this move, as your body's still really stiff upon waking up in the morning, I support my body with my hands. And then after a while, once the legs and the hip joints are a little bit warmer, you can take the hands off the floor and try to challenge yourself a little bit by trying to keep your torso as upright as you can without being supported by your hands. From there, now we move on to this position and start to activate the spine even further. And this is a nice progression because you are loading your knees and also your wrists. And you try to roll out your spine, flexing it and extending it slowly in a controlled fashion. And you activate your back muscles, your shoulders, and your hips. Once you've done a few of those, you can rock side to side to activate your spine in the bending position, like what I'm doing here. And you can walk your hands from one side to another as well to bend it even further. Again, it's really to activate your spine and making sure that it's getting looser and warmed up for the rest of your day. After that, you can reach across with one hand to the opposite side, the way I'm doing it here. And we're trying to twist our spine a little bit. Warm up the oblique muscles as well. With each movement, try to reach a little bit further than the previous one. After that, we move on to this position where I really try to push my torso and my head towards the floor and stretch out the shoulders and open up the chest. And then moving on to the cobra position, stretching out the abs, put some pressure on the wrists, and extend the spine as well. After that, I move on to the loaded beast position to put some weights on my toes and flex my feet. And then just walk in place by lifting your hand and foot alternatively, the way I'm showing here. Trying to find your balance, try to activate your core, activate your shoulders, your feet. And then from there you can push your way back with your hands into a deep squat position. Again, you can rock side to side to loosen up your hips and more importantly your ankles. Actually, a lot of people have stiff ankles. And then from the squat position you can push your hips upwards and try to touch your toes and back into the squat position. And then from here, after rocking side to side, I like to walk my hands back into a crab position. Try to keep my body as horizontally as possible, squeezing the hamstrings and the glutes to activate them. And then back into the squat position. Activate some rotational movements. Again, with each stretch, you try to progressively get deeper and deeper into your stretch. So again, here, I'm placing my palms onto the floor as flatly as I can, really pushing my shoulders towards the ground, stretching the hamstrings, and then back into a deep squat. And the crab position again. And then from there, I get into this kneeling position. And again, really try to put some weight on my toes here. So that's what you see I'm doing. I'm trying to sit back on my heels and flex my toes and stretch them. And then lunging forward to stretch my hips as well. With each lunge, I try to get a deeper stretch. And after you've done a few of those, you can reach out to the sky to really deepen the stretch even more. After that, I sit back down, and this time I straighten out my feet and try to sit on my heels. So I'm stretching out my ankle joints. And I rock side to side to also to warm up the ankle joints there. And then by this point, your body's starting to get pretty warm. You're starting to break a sweat. And we can move on into slightly more difficult stretches. So here, again, putting some weights on my ankles and my toes, trying to find some balance a little bit. And then from here, we can slowly reach towards the back and really stretch the ankles, the knees, and your overall body. And do it one side at a time. And lastly, from this position, I load my wrists. So try to push my weight forward as much as I can to flex and extend the wrist. And then put the back of my hands onto the floor and stretch out the wrist this way as well. This is really important because particularly as you get older, your wrist joints, your hips, your knees and ankles, they tend to get stiff and more injury prone. So doing this every morning is a really nice way to help keep your body healthy, keep your joints flexible. And then from that position, I move on into seated straddle position here. So trying to open up my legs as much as I can. I'm not very flexible in this position, so this is almost as far as I can go, but progressively I try to push my torso forward day by day. And hopefully one day I can get my my chin to touch the ground in front of me. So after all of that, I move on to the horse stance position. This is really nice to open up the hips sideways. So move on to the horse stance position and holding it for maybe 20-30 seconds or so. And then once that's warmed up a little bit, you can go into a Cossack squat stretch. Going down slowly one side and then moving on to the other side. Again, with each stretch, trying to get into a deeper position and really trying to push your hips down as much as you can. I find that with this one, the challenging thing is trying to stay upright. My body tends to want to fall forward. So once I've done all of those more relatively static stretches, now I move on to more dynamic mobility exercises. I like to integrate some of the more recently popularized primal movements. So doing this ape walk from side to side. This is just fun. This is just fun to do. But also it helps to develop some body awareness. It helps to utilize the flexibility that you have just acquired from the stretches. And then back into the loaded beast position, but this time I'm doing everything dynamically, so I'm not doing any static stretches anymore. Everything is more fluid and based on a series of movements that chain into each other. And then at the very end here, one of the last things I like to do is to do a headstand. And again, trying to challenge my balance here by moving the legs around a little bit and shifting my balance. If you can't do this yet, you don't need to feel discouraged. It took me a while to learn how to do a headstand, but again, consistency is king. So if you do this every day, progressively, you're gonna get it.